dropped one by one to reduce the descent speed. After sending this message, contact with the Polar Prince was lost, and no further reply was ever received.
Como si mi voz no tuviera valor.
The people who sitting inside it had lost their lives. The implosion happened so fast. This carbon fiber design of Titan was an experimental design. No one had ever tested the properties of carbon.
Como si no tuviera la capacidad para decidir. La opción de ella.
Dash depends on how long the button is pressed.
The rule stated that carbon fiber
De ellas. Teacher, can you turn off your music? Annoying.
No one had survived inside the submersible. Now, for the first time, new and after investigation, the U.S. Coast Guard has made public. Yes!
push to move them around. You can kick them away.
All 5 passengers were seated. In another video released by the Coast Guard, the front part of completely destroyed, with pieces of carbon fiber scattered on the ocean floor. This proves that the front part of the Titan imploded due to the pressure of the ocean, meaning the water pressure first crushed the front hull.
Wait by pushing them while boosted.
Sí, o sea,
Use the boost button while
y de tomar
starting
decisiones
to
por mí.
speed up.
Así como ella me hirió a mí. Así como ella me hirió. Está feo que te dejan hablar solo como puto perico.
With the operator of the Titan and the owner of Ocean Gate, Stockton Rush, as well as Paul Henri Nargeolet, a 77-year-old.
Don't drown if you stay underwater for too long. Keep an eye on the time while you're down there.
Titan lost contact. The U.S. Navy's underwater sensors had detected a strange sound, which was considered unnatural.
Don't drown if you stay underwater for too long. Keep an eye on the time while you're down there. No.
Explaining how a carbon fiber hull wouldn't be safe at a depth of 4,000 meters. A legal battle between David and Ocean Gate's CEO continued, and by the time more than anyone else in the world, and had more knowledge about it than anyone. The lawsuit stated that Ocean Gate had hidden its past mistakes from the public, which ultimately cost them their family member. With increasing pressure from the courts and media, a high-level inquiry...
Estamos suites de ella. Como si no tuviera la capacidad para decidir.
Do you see polar prints on your display? But this time, there was no response from the Titan. Silence ensued for the next 20 minutes, until 10:13 a.m., when the polar prints responded, saying that their chat settings had disappeared. At this point, Paul-Henri Narjolet took over the conversation, saying, "All good here." And no further reply was ever received. But it didn't reach the millisecond. Actually, the main body of the Titan
You can perform freestyle tricks by jumping off trick jump panels. You can also perform freestyle tricks with rainbow rings.
In 1985, he said that they have done thousands of dives in different vehicles to get to the bottom of the ocean, but they have never lost logic and good engineering behind me.
I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken with logic and good engineering behind me. Carbon fiber, titanium.
The rule stated that carbon fiber and titanium were not to be used, but he used them. Broke the in the race to reach the Titanic. If you'd recall, I told you in the Titanic video that people used to blindly believe that the ship was so great that it can never sink, that it was unsinkable. But on that ill-fated day, the ship watch the video on Titanic, in which I tell you the entire story. By January 2018, the Titan had been fully manufactured and assembled, but the next month it was sent to the Bahamas for testing, where it was struck by lightning during testing. At that time, the Titan was underwater, so it was survived, but its hull was compromised due to the lightning strike. Even after this event, Titan successfully touched a depth of 4,200 meters, where the sea pressure is 6,154 pounds per square inch. When the Titan passed the 4,200 meters depth test, everyone felt that the carbon fiber hull was safe. However, it was later noted that when testing submersibles for deep-sea expeditions, industry standards required the testing to be conducted at a depth 1.2
Como si mi voz no tuviera valor.
than the intended dive depth. By 3,800 feet below. Saying that their chat settings had disappeared. At this point, Paul-Henri Narjolet took over the conversation, saying, "All good here." It was now 10:15 a.m. At exactly 10:28 a.m., the Titan's depth was 2,740 feet, and they reported being southeast of the Titanic's bow section,
The floor here looks like it could give way at any moment. Stay on the sections that look stable.
Pero no es tonto, no abre el mensaje.
sitting in it were killed immediately in the blink of an eye, but they didn't feel it. Actually, the main body...
The floor here looks like it could give way at any moment. Stay on the sections that look stable.
La delincuente es ella por aislarse en su título ciego. Cuando solo ella puede tener la razón. Solo ella.
Just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything.
Yeah, at some point, safety is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything.
Me quedé chaparro.
The platforms are falling apart! You'll have to hurry! The platforms are falling apart! You'll have to hurry!
More astonished to know that pounds 112 years ago, which when converted into the dark depths of the Atlantic Ocean, contact with the polar surface above. about the Titan's build. Since the submersible...
Watch where you're going! Try not to run into the nearer pillars!
Pressure from the courts and media, a high-level inquiry was
Me quedé
urged to
chaparro.
determine what caused the Titan to implode and who was to blame. asked, "Have you reached 680 feet?" To which the Titan's pilot responded, "Confirmed." At 9:36, the Polar Prince asked, "What is your dive payload?" The Titan replied, 1,670 feet. The message continued until 9:51, when the Polar Prince asked, "The Polar Prince on your display?" But this time, there was no response from the Titan. Silence ensued for the next 20 minutes, until 10:13 a.m., when the Polar Prince responded, saying that their chat settings had disappeared. At this point, Paul-Henri Narjolet took over the conversation, saying, "All good here." It was now 10:15 a.m. At exactly 10:28 a.m., the Titan's depth was 2,744 meters, and they reported being southeast of the Titanic's bow section, which the Polar Prince acknowledged. At 10:41 a.m., the Polar Prince asked them to inform, when you deploy Niskin bottle, write down time and location, to which the Titan replied, "No Niskin bottle." A Niskin bottle is used to collect samples from the ocean floor. Just minutes later, at 10:47 a.m., when the Titan was at a depth of 3,346 meters, just 454 meters away from the Titanic, it sent its final message: drop 2 weights. Submersibles use weights to descend into the water, and the weights can be dropped one by one to reduce the descent speed. After sending this message, contact with the Polar Prince was lost, and no further reply was ever received. The people who sitting inside it had lost their lives. The implosion happened so fast that the entire structure was destroyed, but it didn't even take a millisecond. This means that the people sitting in it were killed immediately in the blink of an eye, but they didn't feel it. Actually, the main body of the Titan, as I said, it was made of carbon fiber, but usually submarines and submersibles are made of steel, titanium, or aluminum. This carbon fiber design of Titan was an experimental design. No one had ever tested the properties of carbon fiber in such depths of the ocean before. And looking at this disaster, we can say that carbon fiber is not a suitable material for this use case. As said by an ocean explorer, Robert Ballard, the man who discovered the wreck of the Titanic in 1985, he said that they have done thousands of dives in different vehicles to get to the bottom of the ocean, but they have never lost a vehicle. This was the first time that a submarine or a submersible imploded in this way.
If you look at our history, it's safer to be in a submarine like Alvin, that I spent many years in, than driving on I-95.
If you see the old interviews of Ocean Gate Company's CEO, you will hear the same thing again and again. In 2019, a long article was published in Smithsonian Magazine in which the CEO was talking about Ocean Gate. He said that the U.S. Passenger Vessel Safety Act of 1993 was needlessly prioritizing passenger safety over commercial innovation. He felt that this act is useless and that there is no need to pay so much attention to safety. In another interview last year, he said, "At some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything."
Yeah, at some point, safety just is pure waste. I mean, if you just want to be safe, don't get out of bed, don't get in your car, don't do anything.
After this, he says, "I've broken some rules to make Titan. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me.
I've broken some rules to make this. I think I've broken them with logic and good engineering behind me, for carbon fiber and titanium."
The rules stated that carbon fiber and titanium were not to be used, but he used them, broke the rule intentionally. Stockton Rush knew that he was conducting an experiment which could be very dangerous. In March 2018, a deep-sea exploration specialist had written in mail to the CEO to be a little conservative about safety. He had written that Rush was putting himself and his clients in danger. In the race to reach the Titanic, Rush was accused of repeating the same phrase. He is unsinkable. If you'd recall, I told you in the Titanic video that people used to blindly believe that the ship was so great that it can never sink, that it was unsinkable. But on that ill-fated day, the ship sank. And now, the same happened with the Titan. In the pages of history, the name of Stockton Rush has now been included in this list of inventors who were killed by their own inventions. This teaches us that safety standards and regulations should never be ignored. If you found this video informative, you can click here to watch the video on Titanic, in which I tell you the entire story of the Titanic from start to end.
Viaja con la comodidad y el lujo que mereces. Hertz, tu libertad en movimiento.
Mira lo que encontré. No te pierdas esta impresora inalámbrica en Temu. No necesita tinta, lo que te permite.
This is the incident of 10th April 1912. RMS Titanic. World's largest and most luxurious ship in its time, it set out on its first voyage. It was traveling from Southampton, England to New York. All kinds of people were aboard, renowned industrialists and actors as well as immigrants who were on their way to America in search of a better life. It was being commanded by the 62-year-old senior captain Edward John Smith. There was a lot of excitement regarding this ship in the passengers, public, and the media. It was not only the world's largest ship, around 269 meters in length and more than 53 meters high. The luxury on this ship was awe-inspiring. In those times, it cost $7.5 million to build the ship, which, if you take inflation into account, is equal to $400 million today. The facilities and decorations inside the ship could even leave a five-star hotel behind. Stained glass mirrors, ornate wood paneling, 2 grand staircases, heated swimming pool, a Turkish bath, an electric bath, a gym, a squash court, 4 restaurants, 2 barber shops, and a library as well. Moreover, the kind of safety features that were used to build the Titanic, this ship was believed to be unsinkable. It was a ship that could never sink. It was that safe. White Star Line was the name of the company that built this ship. The vice president of this company was so confident regarding that, he had come out in front of the public and said that this ship is unsinkable. But 2 days later, after setting out on its first voyage, on the 12th of April, 1912, Titanic began to get its first ice warnings. The Atlantic Ocean that Titanic was crossing in order to get to America was replete with ice. There were mountains of icebergs that were a danger to this ship. These warnings are not an unusual thing. The ships that sail the oceans often communicate through radio and signal the nearby ships about ice being present in their vicinity and seek caution in their path. After getting these warnings, Titanic changed its course twice to avoid danger, but it did not reduce its speed. It continued its journey towards its destination at a speed of 21.5 knots, which is equal to 40 kilometers per hour. 2 days later, on the 14th of April, 1912, there were 7 more ice warnings, but Captain Smith and his crew ignored these warnings. They did not slow the speed of Titanic. Slowly, the day draws to a close, the sun sets, and the temperature drops. The notable thing about the night of the 14th of April was that the moon was not visible. Without the moon, there was no moonlight, and the visibility was low on this night. There was a small nest on the ship, a small platform at a height, which could be called a lookout point. Someone is made to sit atop it so that they can keep watch on the track of the ship to look out for traffic or obstructions. The person sitting here has to face very low temperatures. The cold winds were blowing at a very fast pace. Moreover, it was nighttime. The cold winds make the eyes tear up, which makes it difficult to see. At 11:39 p.m., a man named Frederick Fleet was atop the crow's nest. Suddenly, he saw before himself a huge iceberg. He rang the bell thrice quickly so that the people below could be alerted, then picked up the phone and called the officers on the bridge. He screams that there was an iceberg in front of them and that the ship should be steered immediately. First Officer William heard this message and signaled the engine room that the ship should be steered in the left direction, but unfortunately, it was too late. Just 1 minute later, at 11:40 p.m., the ship crashed into the iceberg. This iceberg was not a small one. It was 200 by 400 feet in length, as big as a football field, and was so high that it was matching the crow's nest in height. Scientists estimate that the iceberg weighed as much 1.5 million tons. Titanic's front right side collided with the iceberg, specifically near the bow. Now, what is the bow? You can see in this picture that the part right at the front is the bow. The part above the bow is called the stern, and the protruded part below is called the keel. For around 10 seconds, the ship grazed against the iceberg, and a huge dent was formed. Due to this, small holes formed in the main body of the ship. You might wonder how that is possible. How can a piece of ice tear through metal? If you use the ice in your fridge, then yes, it won't cut through metal. But keep in mind the weight of a mountain of ice. It is true that even wood cannot cut through metal, but even then your metal car can crash into a tree and get deformed completely. Similarly, since the iceberg was so big and heavy, it caused massive damage to Titanic. A few seconds after collision, the ship's captain Smith and architect Thomas Andrews arrived at the site to see how much damage had the ship incurred due to the impact. When they realized that the ship would sink. They were completely shocked upon seeing this. They thought that this ship was unsinkable. At the beginning of the video, I'd mentioned that this ship was considered unsinkable, owing to impressive safety features. There were 2 main safety features which led to this belief. First, this ship had a double-bottom hull. The main body of the ship is called a hull. A double-bottomed hull would mean 2 layers. Even if the layer below got damaged, the second layer could save the ship. Second, the hull of the ship was divided into 16 separate watertight compartments. Even if 4 out of 16 compartments were filled with water, the ship would still sail. Nothing will happen to the ship. But the impact created by the iceberg was on the side of the ship. The double-bottom hull proved to be of no use. The sides only had one single layer. Second, the impact was so large that 6 out of 16 watertight compartments were breached. Water was filling in all of them. The limit was 4. The inundation of 6 compartments meant that the ship couldn't be saved from sinking. The unsinkable ship would sink. 20 minutes after collision, at 12 a.m., Captain Smith ordered his crew to send a distress call over radio. The nearby ships would maybe detect it and come to save them. Senior radio operator Jack Phillips turns out to be the hero of our story. One after the another, he began sending distress signals. There was no response. He sent another and another. There must be some ship out there that would pick up their distress call. 20 minutes later, at 12:20 a.m., there was a ship called RMS Carpathia that was present near the Titanic. It detected the signal. He spoke to the operator of Titanic over radio and directed his ship to move towards Titanic and go save them. The problem was that despite its closeness, this ship was 107 kilometers away. Even if it moved towards the Titanic at its top speed, it would take 3.5 hours to reach the Titanic. Would the Titanic ship stay put for 3.5 hours? The rest of the crew members lit up flares and rockets in the sky in the hope that a ship nearby would notice them. But unfortunately, apart from the ship Carpathia, there was no response from any other ship. Meanwhile, Captain Smith ordered the evacuation of passengers using the lifeboats on the ship. As per protocol, women and children would be given preference to board the lifeboats. As for the passengers on the ship, they were not that scared. Most of the passengers believed that Titanic was an unsinkable ship. There is no need for worry. After all, the company that put out ads claimed this again and again. So yes, they might have hit an iceberg, but the ship wouldn't sink. For this reason, the first lifeboat that went down had a capacity of 65 people, but only 28 went. Half the lifeboat remained empty as it was lowered. With the passage of time, compartments began to be filled with water one after the other. The ship began to tilt. Gradually, the passengers realized that the ship could indeed sink. When this realization dawned, there was chaos and people began to run around in panic. By 1 o'clock in the night, so much water had filled the compartments in the front that the bow of the ship had gone underwater. Due to this, the rear part of Titanic surfaced out of the water. The propellers at the back surfaced out of the water. When the ship tilted to this degree, pandemonium reigned. People began to fight with one another for a seat in the lifeboat. The problem was there was a scarcity of lifeboats on the ship. There were only 20 lifeboats, which could accommodate only approximately 1,200 people. But there were around 2,200 aboard the ship. At 2:05 a.m., the last lifeboat was lowered from the Titanic, but 1,500 people were still on board. In this chaos, some people tried snatching their place in the lifeboats, but some people had accepted their fate and stayed back in the ship.
The end was chaotic. Everybody was crying, praying, trying to get into the few lifeboats that were left. No, it was pretty sad at the end.
As per eyewitnesses, the ship broke into 2 halves at around 2:20 and then slowly began to sink. It did not take even 3 hours for the unsinkable ship to sink. 500 people aboard the ship either drowned with the ship or the ones that knew how to swim were killed. The temperature of the water was -2 degrees Celsius. If you fall into the water at this temperature, you die within minutes due to hypothermia. It is said that the captain of Titanic, Edward Smith, stayed at the wheel until the end and drowned with the ship. Some even believe that he committed suicide by killing himself. The ship RMS Carpathia, that had set out to save the Titanic, reached this location around 3:30 to 4 a.m. to save the people on the ship, but it was 1 hour late. There were about 705 people who went in the lifeboats. This ship successfully saved them. After the disaster of the Titanic, questions were raised. Many controversies arose. Investigations were conducted, and some unknown facts surfaced that shocked everyone. How would it feel if I say that there was another ship 37 kilometers away from Titanic that night, which could make it in time to save the passengers of the Titanic? It is true. The ship was SS Californian. 1 hour before the Titanic hit the iceberg, the last iceberg warning was issued by SS Californian. They had warned, "Watch out. There are a lot of icebergs in the ocean here." After that, at 11:15, The radio operator on the Californian ship had switched off the radio. The Californian ship had stopped for the night and was not moving ahead, keeping the danger in mind. Since the ship had stopped for the night and the radio was off, it did not receive the distress signal. The ship was so close to the Titanic that the passengers on the deck of the Titanic could see the ship on the horizon. When the officers were boarding the passengers in the Titanic, one officer even remarked that he could see a ship in the distance and that it would come save them soon, and so there was no need to worry. But this Californian ship did not come even when rockets and flares were lit up. It is reported that after 12 a.m., the crew members on the Californian ship had actually seen the rockets fired from Titanic. They had even informed their captain, Stanley Lord, but the captain insisted that it was no distress signal, rather, the rich men on the Titanic who were celebrating. Had Captain Lord of the Californian ship taken the rockets and flares seriously that night, so many people aboard the Titanic could have been saved. Next morning, when they switched their radio on, they received the SOS calls from Titanic. They reached the site, but it was too late by then. They only saw dead bodies floating in the water. Both the inquiries that were conducted in this matter put the blame on Captain Lord of the Californian. But one single man cannot be blamed for such a huge disaster. Other people were responsible as well. Like the lifeboat example I mentioned, there were not a sufficient number of lifeboats, because the company that made the ship thought it was unsinkable, and the lifeboats were unnecessary. Apart from that, the captain of Titanic had not even conducted safety drills. A safety drill was to be conducted on the day Titanic collided with the iceberg, but the captain canceled that because he thought they were unnecessary since the ship was unsinkable. The next mistake was that of steersman Robert Hitchens, who was at the steering wheel. That night, when an iceberg alarm was sounded, the officer on the deck instructed that the ship should be turned left. But in panic, Robert Hitchens misunderstood the message and steered the ship towards the right. This was the opposite direction, towards the iceberg. By the time he realized his mistake, it was too late. British inquiry also found that Titanic was issued so many iceberg warnings, and to proceed with caution, but despite that, the ship was sailing at full speed. Why was that? Why did the captain not slow down? There are many theories behind that. A popular theory suggests that Joseph Bruce, the chairman and managing director of White Star Line, the company that manufactured the Titanic, influenced Captain Smith and pressured him that the speed of the ship be maintained. There was tremendous pressure from the company that the ship had to complete its first voyage in 6 days, so that a record could be broken, so that they could show that the Titanic was not only the biggest, the most expensive ship, but the fastest ship as well. A specific incident happened on the 14th of April. At 2 p.m., when Captain Smith saw the ice warning and showed it to Joseph that they should reduce the speed because there is an ice warning. But Joseph stuffed the paper in his pocket so that the people and the crew members did not find out. He did not want the speed of the ship to slow down. This one disaster changed this industry worldwide forever. Many new regulations and standards were set up to avoid such disasters in the future. In 1914, an international ice patrol was set up so that the oncoming ships could be alerted about the icebergs in their path. A treaty International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was signed, which set new standards regarding ships. For example, a lifeboat regulation was framed mandating that the ships should have a sufficient number of lifeboats for every passenger. When the Titanic sank, it took more than 70 years to find its wreckage under sea. In September 1985, an American ocean explorer, Robert Ballard, and a French oceanographer managed to find the Titanic under the sea. Its wreckage was found 3,800 meters, 3.8 kilometers, under the sea. Two separate pieces of the ship were found 600 meters apart. Today, so many years later after the ship sank, environment has started to erode the ship lying underwater. The actual ship looked like this, and today, this is all that's left of it. It has been reported that bacteria and other organisms are eating away its metal framework. It is expected that by 2030, this ship would completely disintegrate underwater. Today, even after 110 years, the fascination regarding Titanic still remains in the minds of people. In 2012, an Australian billionaire, Clive Palmer, planned that he would make Titanic 2, a copycat and a copycat model of the original Titanic. He even declared that it would sail on the same route. All the elements of the ship was to be constructed in the same way as the original. Originally, the project was set to be completed in 2016, but it has not been completed even in 2024 due to delays. It is said that people do not have interest in this project because if an exact replica of the Titanic was made, because it would not have either TV or Wi-Fi, and nobody would want to go on it. It might be that the unsinkable Titanic, too, might have already sunk even before it sailed. We hope you enjoyed this video, and you can click here to watch Mystery of Titan Submersible Implosion and what really happened to Titan submarine. I have explained it in detail in this video. If you like this video, you will definitely like that too. If you like this video, then support our channel by giving super thanks. We keep bringing you more interesting videos like this, so subscribe to our channel now and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. With over 70% of the Earth's surface being covered underwater, it's no surprise that there are things hidden beneath the surface. The strange, the unusual, and the mysterious. From gems to UFOs, real treasures, and even entire cities. When you take a dive, you never know what you'll find. So today, let's see some of the top 20 unbelievable things found underwater. Before we start, make sure to like this video and subscribe our channel. A hidden river. When scientists discovered a river at the bottom of the Black Sea, deep sea divers toured the area and found that the river actually has its own trees, leaves, and even waterfalls. The river has dense water layers that were formed when salt water filled up the sinkholes. The water moves at a rate of half a mile per day on the floor of the ocean. This would be the 6th largest river in the world if it were on land. Maybe you should take a deep sea adventure and visit this river. Yonaguni Pyramid. It was shocking when a scuba instructor dove off the coast of the Japanese island in Yonaguni and discovered a perfectly designed pyramid hidden below the surface. It had stairs, columns, and a perfect human face carved inside the rocks. Well, this is a mysterious underwater discovery. Experts later visited the underwater site and concluded it was completely man-made in approximately 10,000 BC. It has been reported that the pyramid sank into the ocean after a massive earthquake. The Lion City. When the ancient Chinese city known as the Lion City was flooded on purpose to make room for a new hydroelectric power station, the Chinese government forgot about it for years. Later, the government decided to rediscover the city through diving expeditions. It was surprising to see that the city was still in good condition, even after it had been submerged in water for years. Divers discovered that this underwater city's structures, statues, and carvings had been protected by water from natural erosion and were still in perfect condition. The Titanic. After colliding with an iceberg, the Titanic ship sunk to the bottom of the ocean. This legendary ship sank in the northern Atlantic Ocean in 1912. One of the most unbelievable things about the Titanic is that despite its enormous size, the ship's wreckage could not be found until several decades later. When it was discovered more than 3,800 meters below the surface of the water, most of the ship's iconic components like the captain's bathtub or some of the most unbelievable things found on the Titanic. It's incredible to see the wreckage of this ship. That is part of a legendary history. The Underwater Museum. Designed by British sculptor Jason de Caires Taylor, the world's first underwater sculpture park was created in the Caribbean Sea west of Grenada. The submerged museum is open for public viewing. He designed sculptures of people from the local community, including children holding hands in a circle, a mid-sized man riding a bicycle, and a man with a typewriter working at his desk. Out of all the unbelievable things found on Earth, this underwater sculpture park is a must-visit. UFO in the Baltic Sea. Underwater mysteries are really mind-blowing. When Swedish divers went into the Baltic Sea, they uncovered a bizarre discovery with a 60-meter diameter standing on 2 pillars. Divers believed it might have been a UFO, and the team also noticed a hole and a staircase leading into the far end of the object. The divers claimed that as soon as they swam close to the object, their electrical equipment stopped working. Do you really believe a UFO may have crashed into the Baltic Sea and sank into the water? The giant pyrosome. After much research, the ocean indeed has been discovered to have more bizarre things than any other place on Earth. Pyrosomes are one of them. These free-floating invertebrate marine animals were discovered on the upper layers of the ocean. They are bumpy and cylindrical in shape and move by the aid of the ocean waves, tides, and currents. Pyrosomes vary in size of between 1 centimeter and several meters long. They are open on both ends to filter the ocean water. They feed entirely on microscopic plants. Dead star remnants. Mysterious underwater discoveries can range from a variety of things, including things from the sky. A long, long time ago in the galaxy far, far away, when a star exploded, The pieces ended up in the Pacific Ocean. It was like a catastrophic Type II supernova. Several years later, when German scientists were drilling in the Pacific, they found the element with an interesting twist. The element was observed to have remains of a magnetic bacteria. The bacteria, which had iron crystals in them, snapped on the element. Cleopatra's Lost City. Remains of Cleopatra's ancient ruins were found to be submerged at this point, having sunk in over a millennium ago. Like they do to many ancient cities and ruins, historians and scientists are convinced that the tiger waves and earthquakes have something to do with the complete end of Cleopatra's city and iconic powers. The ruins are found under the Mediterranean. Many underwater findings were discovered during this process, such as shipwrecks, a sphinx, and a goddess statue. Russian submarine empire. After several years of hard work, a very lengthy research and salvage project were recently of hard work. The special salvage vessel named Deep Sea Worker that was constructed for the submarine military recently arrived in Sweden with some mysterious things, including liquor. That is said to age back over a century. The Deep Sea Worker's main intention was to salvage bottles. Surprisingly, it is said that the rare liquor forms part of an important section of the Imperial Russian history. The real Kraken. This is an underwater discovery that many past legendary sailors feared. They told stories of its ability to wrap and turn around the ship, feeding on sailors after the ship capsizes. Experts and scientists later discovered the giant squid and the colossal squid are the real animals behind the legendary stories. Both animals are unbelievably massive, with the ability to roll down small boats and even bigger vessels. It is believed that they can even get bigger than any other underwater animal. Chained up animals. When a group of divers went into the deep seas of Indonesia to explore the water, they were shocked and heartbroken. The waters are beautiful, crystal clear, and perfect for swimming, but they discovered an assortment of cages with animals chained up inside, including a mother and a baby. The condition of the cages was terrible. Later, the divers learned that a fisherman was holding up the animals for business purposes. The fisherman intended to lure in tourists in exchange for money by offering to give them a closer look. Deep Sea Stonehenge. On the bottom of Lake Michigan lied a mystery that was unknown to archaeologists. A deep-sea Stonehenge of unknown origin, but believed to be thousands of years old, was discovered. The stones were systematically laid out in concentric rings and horseshoe shapes. It is documented as the oldest and perhaps best preserved ancient stone structure on Earth. Detailed scientific research dating of Stonehenge revealed that the construction work probably began with the big circular ditch that still surrounds the monument. The Devil's Sea. This is shocking, and one of the most unbelievable things found underwater, an abnormal zone located on the coast of Japan. According to the natives of the land, strange things happen here. People, planes, and even ships disappear. The Japanese believed that there was a beautiful underwater city located here, and that demons were living there. But later, science disproved that theory, because neither sea nor sea animals can be found here, and even giant waves are disgusted to swim here. The Locomotive Graveyard. Paul Helper made a bizarre discovery while he was mapping the bottom of the ocean off the coast of New Jersey with a manometer. He found two rare planet locomotives, some of the oldest ever found in the United States. How they ended up in the sea and their origin remains unknown. It is believed that they probably were blown by a storm while under transportation. This must have been one of the incredible things found frozen in ice at the bottom of the sea. Of all the creepy things found underwater. Zakynthos underwater structures. When divers and researchers discovered the remains of the lost city of Greece, they were saddened. The ruins were a result of a heavy wave that hit the Zakynthos island. However, new research has revealed that the true origin of this ruin was a result of a natural geological phenomenon that took place some 500 million years ago. Various experts continue to examine the site, and scientists use microscope and X-ray techniques to unravel mineral content details and texture of the underwater formation. Sunken Pirate City. The Jamaican Port Royal city, which was for a long time inhabited by unruly pirates, was later destroyed. A sudden tsunami and a strong earthquake shook the town's wet and sandy foundation and sank it into the Caribbean Sea. Excavations have now recovered preserved food, historical documents, and a number of buildings. Despite the city's plans to convert the underwater discovery into a tourist destination, the city still remains practically abandoned. Underwater circles. A scuba diver surfing of the coast of Japan stumbled upon a pretty impressive sight. 80 feet below sea level, the diver found geometric sand patterns, known as the mystery circles. Some things found in the ocean are unbelievable. Many people believe that the mystery pattern was created by a UFO. Later, it was discovered that the Japanese pufferfish made the circles. The fish creates the pattern as a ritual during mating, and as a way of protecting their eggs. The sarcastic fringe head. Things scientists and YouTubers found underwater are unbelievable, and I am not being sarcastic, but you probably haven't heard about this one. The sarcastic fringe head found on the Pacific coast of North America are usually less than 4 inches long and may live up to 6 years. At first glance, they're not too pleasing to look at, but when they open up their shell, they look much better. They are known for being aggressively territorial, and the unusual way in which they defend themselves, most fish tend to avoid them. Lost Egyptian City. A French archaeologist discovered an entire Egyptian city, known as Heraclium. Judging from the artifacts that were found, the city was lively golden coins, pieces of artwork, numerous statues of a pharaoh, and a number of ships were found on the floor of the city. It's unknown how the city got beneath the water, though many believe the rising of the sea could have swallowed it, or maybe it was submerged due to a natural disaster, like an earthquake or heavy waves. A diver underwater can find absolutely mind-blowing things. Which of these underwater findings terrified you the most? Please inform us in the comments below. If you found this video informative, you can click here to watch the video on Titanic, in which I tell you the entire story of the Titanic, from start to end. If you like this video, you will definitely like that too. If you like this video, then support our channel by giving super thanks. Thanks for watching.
Number 15. The Ghost Ship Kaz-2. The mysterious case of the Kaz-2, often dubbed the Ghost Yacht, has intrigued and puzzled maritime enthusiasts and investigators since its discovery in 2007. The 32-foot catamaran was found drifting off the northeast coast of Australia, with its three-man crew missing and no clear indication of what had transpired. The circumstances surrounding the disappearance of the crew of the Kaz-2 have given rise to numerous theories, ranging from the plausible to the paranormal, adding it to the list of the most compelling maritime mysteries in recent history. The Kaz-2 set sail from Arley Beach in Queensland, Australia, on April 15, 2007. The crew consisted of three relatively inexperienced yachtsmen, skipper Des Batten, 56, and his friends brothers Peter Tunstead, 69, and John Tunstead, 63. Their plan was to sail the yacht to Townsville, a journey that should have taken them along the picturesque and tranquil waters of the Whitsunday Islands. Despite their experience and the seemingly straightforward nature of the voyage, something went terribly wrong. On April 18, 2007, the Kaz-2 was spotted adrift by a helicopter pilot about 88 nautical miles off the coast of Townsville. Concerned by the sight of the unmanned yacht, the pilot reported it to maritime authorities, who subsequently dispatched a rescue team to investigate. What they found aboard the Kaz-2 only deepened the mystery. Upon boarding the yacht, rescuers discovered that it was in near pristine condition. The engine was running, a laptop was turned on and functioning, and untouched food and beverages were laid out on the table. A newspaper dated April 15th, the day of departure, lay open, suggesting that whatever happened had occurred shortly after they set sail. Even more perplexing was the fact that all the yacht's safety equipment, including life jackets, an emergency beacon, and lifeboats, were still aboard, undisturbed. One of the most eerie details was that the yacht's sails were up, and one of them was badly shredded. However, this didn't appear to be the result of a violent storm, as the weather conditions in the area during the yacht's voyage were reportedly calm. The Kaz-2's GPS system showed that the yacht had made a series of erratic movements before it was found adrift, suggesting that the crew might have encountered trouble not long after their departure. Despite an extensive air and sea search covering thousands of square kilometers, no trace of the three missing men was ever found. The empty, yet seemingly untouched state of the Kaz-2 gave rise to numerous theories about the crew's fate. One theory posits that the crew might have been swept overboard by a freak wave or a sudden gust of wind while adjusting the sails. This could explain the shredded sail and why the yacht was found drifting. Another theory suggests that one of the men might have fallen overboard, and the other two perished trying to rescue him. In this scenario, the initial man overboard might have led to a chain of events where all three men ended up in the water, unable to get back on the yacht. This theory aligns with the erratic GPS movements, which could indicate attempts to recover a man overboard. However, this theory doesn't account for the fact that all safety equipment was still on board, indicating that none of the men had attempted to grab a life jacket or deploy the emergency beacon in a moment of crisis. Some of the more outlandish theories propose the involvement of foul play or even supernatural forces. Given the yacht's nickname as the Ghost Yacht, speculation about paranormal activity has inevitably surfaced. However, there is no evidence to support these more fantastical theories, and they remain purely speculative. In 2008, the Queensland Coroner's Office conducted an inquest into the disappearance of the CAS-2's crew. The inquest concluded that the most likely explanation was that one of the men had fallen overboard, and the others had gone into the water in a failed rescue attempt. The coroner noted that the shredded sail and the yacht's erratic path could be consistent with such a scenario. Despite this official conclusion, the lack of definitive evidence means that the mystery is far from settled in the public's mind. Number 14. The Kraken. The legend of the Kraken, a mythical sea monster of enormous proportions, has captivated the human imagination for centuries. Emerging from the cold, deep waters of Scandinavian folklore, the Kraken is depicted as a colossal creature, capable of pulling entire ships beneath the waves with its powerful tentacles. The mystery of the Kraken is rooted in ancient tales, but its story has endured and evolved over time, influenced by scientific discoveries and an unending fascination with the unknown depths of the ocean. The earliest references to the Kraken date back to the 13th century in Icelandic sagas and Norwegian texts. One of the first detailed descriptions appears in the Konungsskuggsja, King's Mirror, a Norwegian educational text from around 1250. The text describes a creature so vast that it could be mistaken for an island, with a habit of dragging sailors to their doom. This image of the Kraken as a gargantuan, almost supernatural being set the tone for centuries of maritime lore. By the 18th century, the Kraken had become a fixture in the writings of naturalists and explorers. Erik Pontoppidan, a Danish-Norwegian naturalist, described the Kraken in his 1755 work, The Natural History of Norway. Pontoppidan's account painted the Kraken as a beast capable of creating massive whirlpools as it submerged, pulling ships and their crews into the depths along with it. He estimated the creature's size to be more than a mile across, further cementing its reputation as an enormous and fearsome entity. The real-life basis for the Kraken legend likely lies with the giant squid, genus Architeuthis, a deep-sea cephalopod known to reach lengths of up to 43 feet. Encounters with these elusive creatures, whether glimpsed by sailors at sea or washed ashore, could easily have been exaggerated into tales of monstrous sea serpents. The giant squid's long, tentacled body and large, staring eyes match many descriptions of the Kraken, making it a likely candidate for the creature behind the myth. Despite advances in marine biology, the giant squid remained largely a creature of myth until the 21st century. In 2005, Japanese researchers captured the first images of a live giant squid in its natural habitat, providing concrete evidence of the creature that had inspired the Kraken legend. This discovery was followed by further research, including the capture of additional footage of a giant squid in 2012 by a team led by Dr. Edith Witter. These findings have provided valuable insights into the biology and behavior of giant squids, though much about them remains a mystery due to their deep-sea habitat. The giant squid is typically found at depths of 1,000 to 3,000 feet in the world's oceans, particularly in the North Atlantic, off the coasts of Norway, Newfoundland, and New Zealand. These regions, with their deep, cold waters, offer ideal conditions for the giant squid, which preys on deep-sea fish and other squid species. The elusive nature of the giant squid and the challenges of deep-sea exploration mean that sightings are rare, contributing to the creature's mystique. In addition to the giant squid, the colossal squid, Mysonicodothis hamiltoni, also fits descriptions of the Kraken. Even larger than the giant squid, the colossal squid can grow up to 46 feet long and has been found in the deep waters of the Southern Ocean. With its massive size and aggressive predatory behavior, the colossal squid is another potential source for the Kraken myth. While scientific discoveries have demystified some aspects of the Kraken legend, they have also fueled further speculation and fascination. The ocean remains largely unexplored, and new species are regularly discovered in its depths. This has led some to speculate that even larger and more mysterious creatures may exist, waiting to be found. The vastness and inaccessibility of the deep sea ensure that it continues to be a realm of speculation and wonder. The Kraken's influence extends beyond scientific inquiry into popular culture, where it's been immortalized in literature, movies, and video games. From Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem The Kraken, to its appearance in movies like Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and in the lore of games like Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, the Kraken remains a powerful symbol of the unknown and the terrifying beauty of the ocean. Theories about the current existence of the Kraken, or creatures like it, range from the plausible to the fantastical. Some cryptozoologists suggest that there may be even larger cephalopods or unknown sea monsters that have yet to be discovered. The deep sea, with its extreme conditions and vast unexplored areas, is a perfect hiding place for such beings. However, mainstream science remains cautious, emphasizing the need for evidence and the challenges of deep sea research. The cultural and historical significance of the Kraken also plays a role in its enduring mystery. For centuries, sailors' tales and local folklore have kept the legend alive, passing down stories of monstrous encounters and near escapes. These stories reflect humanity's deep-seated fear of the unknown and the dangers of the sea, as well as our fascination with the possibility of undiscovered life forms. Number 13. The Sea Serpent of HMS Daedalus. The tale of the sea serpent of the HMS Daedalus is one of the most captivating and fantastical maritime mysteries. It all began on August 6, 1848, when the British Royal Navy ship HMS Daedalus, captained by Captain McQuay, was sailing from the Cape of Good Hope to St. Helena. As the ship traversed the South Atlantic, an extraordinary and unsettling event occurred that would ignite discussion and speculation for decades to come. The afternoon was clear, and the sea was calm, offering no hint of the bizarre scene that was about to unfold. At around 5 p.m., the crew of the Daedalus spotted a strange, elongated creature moving through the water. The first to notice it were the ship's officers, who immediately alerted Captain McQuay. The captain, along with several other officers, observed the creature through their telescopes, noting its serpentine form and undulating movements. The sea serpent appeared to be around 60 feet long, with a long neck that rose about 4 feet above the water. Its head, which was said to resemble that of a snake or a dragon, moved gracefully from side to side as it swam. The creature maintained a steady speed, matching that of the Daedalus, and seemed unperturbed by the ship's presence. The sailors watched in awe and trepidation, documenting the encounter in their logs and sketches. Captain McQuay later reported the sighting to the Admiralty, describing the creature as an enormous serpent with a dark body that could have been mistaken for a line of porpoises, if not for its distinct movement and form. The account was published in newspapers and quickly captured the public's imagination. The idea of a sea serpent lurking in the depths of the ocean fed into existing folklore and the era's fascination with undiscovered creatures. Theories about the sea serpent of the Daedalus abounded. Some believed it to be a surviving member of a prehistoric species, perhaps a plesiosaur or a giant eel. Others suggested it might be an unknown species of marine animal, yet to be classified by science. The idea of a colossal sea serpent roaming the oceans was both thrilling and terrifying, and it sparked numerous other reports and sightings of similar creatures around the world. Skeptics, however, offered alternative explanations. One theory proposed that the sailors had seen a large marine animal, such as a giant squid or whale, and had misinterpreted what they saw due to the distance and the conditions of the sighting. Another suggestion was that the creature could in fact have been a line of dolphins swimming in formation, creating the illusion of a single, elongated entity. These explanations, while plausible, did little to quell the fascination and belief in the existence of sea serpents. In the years following the Daedalus sighting, various expeditions and researchers attempted to find concrete evidence of the sea serpent, but no definitive proof was ever found. The mystery persisted, and the tale of the Daedalus serpent became a staple of maritime lore, often cited alongside other legendary sea creatures like the Kraken and the Loch Ness Monster. Modern scientific investigations have provided further insights, though the mystery remains unsolved. Some marine biologists suggest that large, rarely seen marine animals, such as oarfish, which can grow up to 36 feet long and have a serpentine appearance, could account for the sighting. The oarfish's undulating swimming motion and elongated body could easily be mistaken for a sea serpent under the right conditions. Yet, even with these rational explanations, the lack of concrete evidence leaves room for continued speculation and wonder. Number 12. The Yonaguni Monument. The Yonaguni Monument, an extraordinary underwater formation near Yonaguni Island in Japan, has captured the imagination of divers, scientists, and mystery enthusiasts since its discovery. The tale begins in 1986, when Kihachiro Arataki, a local diver, stumbled upon a mysterious series of stone structures while exploring the seabed. What he found was far beyond the typical underwater scenery. Instead, it was a submerged structure that seemed to defy natural explanation. Located about 25 meters below the surface, the monument comprises vast stone formations that feature sharp-edged, flat surfaces, precise straight lines, and almost perfect right angles. The most striking feature is a massive, flat-top formation resembling a stepped pyramid, surrounded by what appear to be terraces, pathways, and walls. These characteristics immediately led to speculation that the monument might be the remnants of an ancient, advanced civilization that had fallen to ruin and been swallowed by the sea. As word of Aratake's discovery spread, the site attracted the attention of researchers and adventurers worldwide. Among them was Professor Masaki Kimura, a marine geologist at the University of the Ryukyus, who became a leading proponent of the theory that the monument was created by humans. Kimura believes the structure could be over 5,000 years old, dating back to a time when lower sea levels left the area above water. According to Kimura, the monument may have been part of an ancient city, potentially linked to myths of lost continents like Mu or Lemuria. The legend of Mu was popularized by the British-American writer James Churchward, who published a series of books on the subject in the early 20th century. According to Churchward, Mu was a vast continent in the Pacific Ocean, stretching from the Marianas to Easter Island, and from Hawaii to Fiji. He claimed to have based his work on ancient tablets he discovered while serving as a soldier in India. These tablets, written in an ancient language known as Nagamaya, allegedly described the history and eventual destruction of Mu. Churchward's books describe Mu as the cradle of civilization, home to an advanced society with a population of over 60 million people. The inhabitants of Mu were said to possess advanced technology and knowledge, including sophisticated engineering, agriculture, and navigation skills. They built grand temples and pyramids, many of which were believed to have influenced those built by later civilizations in Asia, the Americas, and Africa. According to Churchward, Mu was destroyed by a series of cataclysmic events, including volcanic eruptions and earthquakes, which caused the entire continent to sink into the ocean around 12,000 years ago. This catastrophic event supposedly led to the dispersion of its survivors, who spread their knowledge and culture to other parts of the world. The concept of Lemuria predates Churchward's Mu and has its origins in the mid-19th century. The idea was first proposed by zoologist Philip Sclater in 1864 to explain the distribution of lemur fossils and other related species found in Madagascar, India, and Africa. Sclater hypothesized that a lost landmass, which he named Lemuria, once connected these regions, allowing the species to spread across what are now separate continents. Theosophists, such as the infamous mystic Helena Blavatsky, incorporated Lemuria into their esoteric teachings, describing it as an ancient land inhabited by a spiritually advanced race. According to Blavatsky, the Lemurians were giants with psychic abilities and a deep connection to the natural world. Theosophical writings suggest that Lemuria existed in the Indian and Pacific Oceans, and its civilization flourished before the rise of Atlantis. Like Mu, Lemuria was said to have been destroyed by cataclysmic events, leading to its eventual submersion beneath the ocean. The survivors of Lemuria were believed to have migrated to other parts of the world, influencing the development of later civilizations. Kimura's team also identified features they interpreted as carved faces, animal sculptures, and other intricate carvings on the monument. These findings suggested that the structure was not just a natural formation, but potentially a site of significant cultural and historical importance. Kimura proposed that the monument might have served as a ceremonial or religious site, a fortress, or even an astronomical observatory. However, other experts have conflicting theories. Many geologists and archaeologists argue that the Yonaguni monument is most likely a natural formation, shaped by millennia of underwater currents, tectonic shifts, and erosion. They point to similar formations found around the world, such as the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland and the basalt columns of the Devil's Postpile in California, arguing that nature alone could have created the monument's geometric features. An alternative theory suggests that human influences. According to this view, an ancient civilization a naturally occurring rock formation and modified it for their own. It could be both a natural geological structure and a human-altered site used for ceremonial or other purposes. The true origin of the Yonaguni monument remains a tantalizing mystery. If it is indeed a human-made structure, its original function is open to speculation. Was it a sacred site, a fortress, or an observatory? The absence of definitive archaeological evidence or artifacts complicates the puzzle, leaving room for endless conjecture and debate. Number 11. The underwater crop circles. When the underwater crop circles were first discovered off the coast of Japan in 1995, their intricate geometric patterns left divers and scientists perplexed. The circles, measuring about 6.5 feet in diameter, featured radiating lines and concentric rings that appear too precise and artistic to be natural occurrences. As a result, vast theories emerged to explain their origins, each reflecting different ways in which people tried to make sense of this underwater mystery. One of the earliest theories proposed that the underwater crop circles were the result of natural geological or oceanographic processes. Some scientists believe that the formations could have been created by underwater currents, eddies, or vortices that sculpted the sand into these intricate patterns over time. This theory drew on the widespread scientific understanding that fluid dynamics can produce regular and repeating patterns in nature, similar to the ripple marks seen on sandy ocean floors, or the patterns formed by wind-blown dunes in deserts. Another prevalent theory suggested that the circles were created by the activities of unknown or little understood marine organisms. Given the regularity and precision of the patterns, some researchers hypothesized that a species of marine life, possibly a type of burrowing creature or small organisms engaging in collective behavior, could be responsible for the formations. This idea was supported by the fact that many marine animals, such as certain types of crabs and shrimp, are known to manipulate their environments for feeding or mating purposes. There was also speculation that the circles might have been the result of human activity. Some people suggested that the formations could be the remnants of ancient human settlements or structures that had been submerged due to rising sea levels. Others posited that the circles were created by divers or underwater archaeologists as part of an art project or scientific experiment. This theory, while less scientific, reflected the human tendency to ascribe complex or unexplained phenomena to purposeful design. The more fantastical theories proposed that the underwater crop circles were the work of extraterrestrial beings. This idea drew parallels to the terrestrial crop circles often attributed to UFOs and alien activity. Proponents of this theory argued that the precision and beauty of the patterns were beyond the capabilities of known marine life or natural processes, suggesting that they could be messages or markings left by advanced alien civilizations. While this theory was widely dismissed by the scientific community, it captured the imagination of many of those interested in the possibility of extraterrestrial life. In addition to scientific and speculative theories, some explanations were rooted in local folklore and mythology. The underwater crop circles were sometimes linked to ancient Japanese legends of underwater palaces or dragon kings, mythical beings believed to inhabit the depths of the ocean. According to these stories, the formations could be the handiwork of mythical sea creatures or gods, adding a layer of cultural mystique to to the scientific mystery. The mystery remained unresolved until 2012, when Japanese marine biologist Yoji Okada made a breakthrough discovery. Okada observed a small species of pufferfish, only about 5 inches long, meticulously creating these intricate patterns in the sand. The male pufferfish was seen swimming tirelessly, using its fins to carve out the designs. This behavior was identified as a mating ritual, with the ridges and valleys in the patterns help to protect the eggs from ocean currents and predators, demonstrating a sophisticated adaptation for reproductive success. Number 10. Lake Baikal's underwater spires. Lake Baikal, nestled in the heart of Siberia, Russia, is a place where the ordinary fades away and the extraordinary manifests. This ancient lake, the world's deepest and oldest, is a reservoir of secrets, holding more water than all of North America's Great Lakes combined. Its serene surface belies a world of mysteries and marvels that have intrigued scientists, explorers, and mystics for generations. One of the most captivating features of Lake Baikal is its geological peculiarity. Formed over 25 million years ago, it lies in an active continental rift zone, which continues to pull apart at a rate of about 1 inch per year. This continuous geological activity has carved out a unique underwater landscape, teeming with hydrothermal vents and mud volcanoes. Recent expeditions employing sophisticated underwater robots have revealed these hidden wonders, shedding light on the seismic forces that shape this lake's history and continue to sculpt its depths. But it's not just the geology that fascinates. Lake Baikal is a living laboratory of evolution. Its isolated environment has given rise to a myriad of unique species, with over 3,600 plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth. The Baikal seal, or nerva, stands out as the only freshwater seal species in the world, a creature that has adapted to the lake's frigid waters and depths. Exploring Lake Baikal is like stepping into a prehistoric world, where ancient life forms thrive in one of the world's most pristine ecosystems. Adding to the lake's mystique are the mysterious ice circles that appear on its frozen surface each winter. These massive, perfect circles, some spanning several miles in diameter, were first noticed by astronauts aboard the International Space Station. While scientists suggest that these formations result from warm water rising from the lake's depths, causing the ice to melt in circular patterns, the exact process remains a puzzle. These ice rings are a visual reminder of the unseen forces at play beneath the lake's tranquil exterior. Local legends and folklore only deepen the sense of mystery. For centuries, the indigenous Buryan people and Siberian shamans have revered the lake as a sacred entity, a living spirit with immense power. Stories abound of strange lights dancing over the water, described as glowing spheres or orbs. Some locals whisper of UFOs, while others speak of natural but still unexplained atmospheric phenomena. These tales, passed down through generations, weave a rich tapestry of myth and mystery that surrounds the lake. Then there are the stories of the lake's cryptids, large serpentine creatures that allegedly dwell in its depths, drawing comparisons to Scotland's Loch Ness Monster. While no concrete evidence has surfaced to confirm these sightings, the sheer size and depth of Lake Baikal leave room for endless speculation. Could unknown creatures be hiding in its unexplored recesses? The possibility adds a thrilling dimension to the lake's mystery. In a remarkable blend of the ancient and the cutting edge, Lake Baikal is also a hub for advanced scientific research. Deep within its clear waters lies the Baikal Neutrino Telescope, an underwater observatory designed to detect neutrinos, elusive subatomic particles that can pass through entire planets without interacting with matter. This research could unlock secrets of the universe, offering insights into cosmic phenomena and the fundamental laws of physics. The pristine waters of Baikal, acting as a natural filter, provide an ideal environment for this groundbreaking study. Despite its scientific and cultural significance, Lake Baikal faces numerous environmental threats. Pollution, climate change, and overfishing pose risks to its unique ecosystem. Conservation efforts are crucial to preserving the lake's unique biodiversity and ensuring that its mysteries continue to captivate future generations. Lake Baikal, with its blend of natural wonders and supernatural lore, is one of the planet's most enduring mysteries. Its depths hold stories of ancient life and ongoing geological drama, while its surface and surroundings are steeped in cultural and mythical significance. As research continues and new technologies emerge, we may one day unlock more of the secrets hidden within this remarkable lake. Until then, Lake Baikal remains a captivating blend of science, myth, and natural beauty, a place where the mysteries it holds are as deep as the lake itself. Number 9. Bimini Road. The mystery of Bimini Road has long intrigued explorers, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. Located off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas, this underwater formation consists of a series of large, flat stones that appear to be laid out in a deliberate linear pattern. Discovered in 1968 by a team of divers, Bimini Road has since sparked a myriad of theories regarding its origins and purpose, with some suggesting it could be the remnants of the lost civilization of Atlantis. The Bimini Road is composed of limestone blocks, each weighing several tons and measuring up to 30 feet in length. The stones are arranged in a straight line, stretching about half a mile, with some sections forming a parallel line, creating what appears to be a paved road. The formation lies in shallow water, about 18 feet below the surface, making it easily accessible to divers and snorkelers. From the moment of its discovery, the Bimini Road has been the subject of intense speculation and debate. One of the most popular theories is that it is a man-made structure, possibly a road, wall, or by an ancient and advanced civilization. Proponents of this theory often link it to the legendary Atlantis, a powerful and technologically advanced society described by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato. According to his writings, Atlantis was a grand island kingdom that sank into the ocean around 9,000 years before his time. The precise location of Atlantis has been the subject of countless theories, and some believe that Bimini Road could be a remnant of this lost city. The legend of Atlantis has captivated imaginations for over 2 millennia. The tale originates from the works of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, specifically in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, written around 360 BCE. In Plato's narrative, Atlantis was a powerful and technologically advanced civilization located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the modern-day Strait of Gibraltar. The Atlanteans were said to have created a utopian society on a vast island continent, thriving around 9,000 years before Plato's own time. Plato described Atlantis as an advanced society with incredible achievements in architecture, engineering, and governance. The city was said to have been laid out in concentric circles of land and water, featuring magnificent palaces, temples, and a grand central acropolis. The Atlanteans were depicted as a formidable naval power, with a fleet that allowed them to dominate the Mediterranean and potentially other parts of the world. Their society was prosperous and enlightened, but also grew increasingly corrupt and greedy over time. The destruction of Atlantis, as recounted by Plato, came about as a result of divine retribution for the moral decay and hubris of its inhabitants. The gods, particularly Poseidon, who was believed to have favored Atlantis, became displeased with the Atlanteans' behavior. In a catastrophic event, described as occurring over a single day and night, Atlantis was said to have been swallowed by the sea, vanishing without a trace. This sudden destruction was attributed to a combination of earthquakes and floods, erasing the island and its advanced civilization from history. Supporters of the Atlantis theory point to the precision and regularity of the stones, suggesting that such a formation could not occur naturally. They argue that the alignment and layout of the stones indicate deliberate placement by human hands. This theory was given a boost by the Bimini prophecy made by the American psychic Edgar Cayce, who predicted that evidence of Atlantis would be found near Bimini in 1968, the same year the road was discovered. However, the scientific community remains skeptical of the Atlantis connection. Many archaeologists and geologists argue that the Bimini Road is a natural formation. They explain that the stones are composed of beach rock, a type of limestone that forms in the intertidal zone of tropical and subtropical regions. The regular shapes and alignment of the stones could result from natural processes such as erosion and the fracturing of the rock along natural joints. Over time, tidal action and storms could have further aligned the stones, creating the appearance of a man-made structure. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence for the natural formation theory is the presence of similar formations in other parts of the world. For instance, the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland and the tessellated pavement in Tasmania are both natural formations that feature